welcome to today's video. So we're actually doing something a little bit different. Now, I've got this pair of clocks, and these clocks actually come from a circa 1981 Renault 5 Gordini / Alpine, and they are quite rare. I have a binnacle for one of them. I have the backing panel, and I also have the diffuser complete with the little buttons that come with it, so that would go over the clock like that into there, and then there would be sort of buttons on the front for you to adjust it, and the buttons just make contact with these points here, like so. So they just basically make a circuit connection for minutes and hours. Now, unfortunately, it looks like this one has gone to air. As you can see here, you've got this little sort of milky section, which is on the getter, so that has unfortunately gone to air. This one looks okay. That's still nice and shiny, so we're going to be very careful with that one and make sure that we don't sort of damage it in any way. So, quite simply, the first thing that I'm going to do, I'll just move this one out the way, is to try applying some voltage to the clock itself to see if there is any life in the clock. So we have 4 cables going to the actual clock itself. And my understanding is there is going to be a permanent supply from the battery, which I would probably guess is going to be this red cable coupled with this black ground cable. And if my assumptions are correct, this white cable is probably going to be a switched 12 volt supply, and this green cable is going to be the earth for that switched 12 volt supply. There is also the possibility that these are also 12 volt positive. Unfortunately, I don't have a circuit diagram, so I'm going to have to make some assumptions. So first off, let's try applying 12 volts to the clock. So I've got this yellow one is negative, this green one is going to be my positive. There we go. And let's power on that. And we don't seem to have anything on the clock itself. So let's change tack and move to this green cable and see if we get anything there. No, so nothing coming up there at all. So let's do some basic checks. Let's first off make sure that we have voltage at my test cables. So that one is negative, this one is positive. And we've got a sturdy 11.9 volts, so as close as makes no difference, it's 12 volts. So let's try putting the negative side onto that green, then connecting negative to negative, and this positive to both of those. So we've now got all of them connected, and we don't seem to have anything, unfortunately. So let's try there. Both of those. Oh, all of those. Aha! So if I connect, so okay, so if I connect red to green, so red to green, the clock is alive, so we do have something on there. Obviously it's showing 1 and a number of 8s, but that's better than showing nothing. So that means that actually does suggest that our VFD is good. So that is a very good sign, and we want to try and keep this clock as well protected as possible, because we don't want a situation where this one gets destroyed. So that means 12 volts on red, 12 volts on white. Black is going to be earth. No, sorry. 12 volts on red, 12 volts on green. Black is obviously negative. Now, does that mean that this white could also be negative? Let's have a look. Let's see if we can just push this into here. Because what I'm trying to do is just connect the two of them together with minimum of effort. There we are. So that's the two bridged there. So let's do that. Let's then bridge red and green. So I'll just pop that onto there, that to there. Let's bridge red and green. Right, there we go. So let's bridge red and green, and to do that we're just going to use a bit of solder wire. There's a bit of solder wire, or solder core rather. And red and green. There she goes. So what I'm trying to do is wedge it into place so that I have a sort of permanent connection. Easier said than done. Let's try that one, 2, that one. Okay, so that's definitely connected. Oh, now it's not connected anymore. Excuse me. So there we go, white and black. Then we want, so green and red together. So one of the complaints about this particular clock is that it was not keeping time properly. Now, I've never serviced a clock before, but that could be due to, in this case, it could be a dodgy quartz crystal. It could even be one of the other components, like a resistor that's gone high in value, perhaps. If it's the quartz crystal, there's not really much you can do about that apart from possibly replacing it with a new crystal. So it'd be interesting to see if I can still get those. Anyway, let's see. That's sort of all together now, I think. There must be a better way to do this. There is a better way to do this, it's just I don't quite have that better way at the moment. The better way would be jumper in again with some more crocodile clip things. There we go. So it looks like we have a reliable supply. That just shows that at the moment. Let's see if the bridging these does anything, because that should allow you to switch the time, which it doesn't, unfortunately. And again, doesn't seem to. So let's do some other sort of simple checks that we could potentially do with this. We can certainly measure these components and see how they are. So we've got a few resistors and a couple of capacitors. Now, the capacitors are probably going to be for driving the VFD. The resistors are probably going to be associated with that part of the circuit as well. The quartz crystal is going to be in here, and it looks relatively easy to remove, which is good. Let's just see if that comes back to life again. Actually, it probably won't because the wire has popped out on the other end, but that's not a problem. Yeah, that's fine. So let's see if it works with 6 volts. So 6, 9, yeah, 9, 12, very happy. So 9, Oh, it does work with 6, just very, very dim. So it ideally needs 12 volts, which obviously makes sense. Right, so let's just remove all of that. Take that out. And let's do some component testing now to make sure that we don't damage this in any way. Let's get this amusing. Now, to make sure we don't damage this in any way, let's get something soft to rest it on. Now, to make sure we don't damage it in any way, let's just rest it on something soft. Okay, so let's grab out my ESR device and let's measure the values across these capacitors. So we have 50 volts and 10 microfarads, and we also have 10 microfarads, 25 volts. So let's start with this 50 volt, 10 microfarad capacitor. Okay, let's try that again. Unknown or damaged part. Okay, unknown or damaged part. So that could be up for renewal. Let's try this one here. This one's 25 volts. 10 microfarads at 25 volts. Now, it is best to measure these out of circuit, so there is a possibility that they're not registering correctly because they are in circuit. So let's unsolder them and let's take them out of circuit. I don't think they are the problem, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. So let's get a soldering iron onto the case. And let's see where we are once we get those out of circuit, and then we can test them and prove if they are part of our problem or if it's a red herring. this one looks ready to go, so quite an awkward position really. I have to do it this way, where I pull one leg, then the other, and then eventually, there you go, then that's out, and then we can just clean up the board. So negative side is this one here, so I just need to remember that. So let's pop this into the tester and let's give it a test. So this one is 25 volts, 10 microfarads. There we go. So let's just take these off so we don't get any erroneous readings. Unknown or damaged part, okay. Yeah, 12.919 microfarads, ESR 0.81. It's slightly high, but it doesn't seem to be causing any issues. Doink. Let's replace it anyway, because we may as well. So let's see what we have. We'd want 10 at 50 volts. All right, let's put this one back in. There we go, so that's just cleaned off that. Right, let's just test this again. I'm actually going to use the tongs this time. Okay, so power on self-test. Yeah, 11.89 microfarads, ESR 1.1 ohms. It's fine. There's no problems with that whatsoever. So that can go back into circuit. And I've actually got the other one here. I can actually just check to see what position that does go in. So it is negative leg this side, positive leg that side. So that's actually quite convenient. Let's pop this back in. There we go. There we go. Go on. I think that's going back in. Right, this is going to be fun. Need the tiniest blob of solder to get this back in. So let's just heat that up. That should allow us to go through there. There we go. And we need the absolute tiniest of blobs of solder. A little bit more. So there. And there. Okay. Now visual inspection to make sure we haven't gone over any tracks. And also that it's not touching any other pins, and it doesn't look like it is, so that's good. So this resistor here looks slightly charred and damaged. Now thankfully we can get the value of that resistor off of this one. So it is this one here. So let's see. I think I've got an application to allow me to measure, or rather calculate. And if I don't, I can certainly get one. Okay, so we have, excuse me, kind of like got a gold band on that side. Or is that brown? Okay, that's brown, so that's one. Then two. Then times 10, so 200. And gold plus or minus 5%. 200 ohms. I'm looking at the wrong resistor. Okay, so we have yellow, so 4, silver or grey, 4, 8, brown, times 10, 480 ohms. So that should be 480 ohms. So let's take this. Let's grab a multimeter. And let's set this to 2K. So that resistor should measure 480. It's currently measuring 100.2, so it's almost like low in value. Let's check the other one. The other one measures 480 ohms, so I think the other one's actually in better shape. This one you can actually more clearly see the details of that quartz crystals made in the USA by BWD or something, 1178. So that's from November 1978. So this resistor is 480 ohms. This one obviously isn't. So do I have any resistors? So I have 47 ohms, 100 kiloohms. $470 ohms. Oh. Right, so 470. And 470 looks like yellow, so 4, violet 7, and black, which is multiply it, so times 1, 47. That doesn't make sense. Further is brown, which is times 10, so 47 times 10 is 470. So that does make sense. There we are. So we will replace that. Right, so that is that's a resistor. And let's just check. Let's just check its value. Yep, 470. So that's good. Oh, there we are. So that can go there. Excuse me. And let's remove this damaged resistor. Let's try and what we'll do is put those over there. What we'll do is we'll heat it up. Ow, and just pull it out. It's silly to use the finger method to do that because that gets hot. So let's use a small pair of needle nose pliers. There's one. There's the other. So that one can go. And I'm not overly enamoured with the quality of this circuit board, but there you go. It also looks like it's taken a trace with it. Not sure. Right, let's put the other new resistor in place. There we go. Now to me it looks like the contact pad for that is missing, so what we will do is let's just scrape away some of the varnish on the circuit board. Let me take a closer look at this so I can actually see where that is supposed to go. So that contact pad, so I'm just holding this up to the light, so I've got quite a bright light in this room. So that contact pad connects to, oh I see, so I could So that contact pad goes God, that is really difficult to see. This is where you need a circuit diagram, but that is easier said than done for something of this age. I think there's a rail there. So there's a rail here which connects to that leg. So what we could probably do is oversolder slightly onto that rail, and that gets at least gets us reconnected again. So let's just turn down the iron to 250, and let's do this one first. There we go, and then let's do this one next. There's a rail I think runs even below that, so I need to be super careful. See, I've already bridged over, annoyingly. There. That should do it. Okay. Let's use my snips to chop the legs off. This is one of those circuit boards that's almost meant to be thrown away. It's functional, but certainly not built for longevity. And that is just awful. That's not even... it's just not even in place. So that's evidently lifted at some point before. Alright, that's better. Right, okay, so let's do this again. So we've got red and green connect together, white and black seem like they should connect together. There is also the possibility that white is also live, but with a different voltage. But we won't know that until we get a circuit diagram, which I've been searching for, and I haven't been able to find one as yet. So I'm going to do a bit of research a little later on, see if I can find a circuit diagram that covers an 81 5 Alpine / Gordini. Same model, different branding due to regulations within the UK at the time. So at the time, the Roots Group owned the Alpine name, or Alpine name in the UK. The Roots Group was eventually swallowed into Chrysler, and then further swallowed into Peugeot Talbot, and the Chrysler Alpine / Talbot Alpine was a model at the time in the early 80s. So throughout the 80s, Renault were not allowed to use the Alpine name in the UK. Not sure what changed, but they now can. So there is Alpine is Renault's. Renault have got the right to use it as they so desire. Right, so we have white and black to there, and we've got, sorry, there, and 12 volt to red. Okay. There we go, so still powers up, so that's good. That means that the resistor I've put in is probably fine and probably connected, so that's always a good sign. It certainly doesn't move, so that is excellent news. We just need to, that is probably just this cable here. We probably now need to work out if that white is another 12 volt or if it is indeed an earth, not an earth, a negative connection. So that is actually that. I think that actually concludes what we can do with that today. I'm going to go away and investigate the possibility of getting some kind of circuit diagram for this. So mainly so I can see what the connectors are doing, what connectors go where, what voltages are on those connectors, and yeah, we can certainly see what we can do with that. But we've replaced a dodgy component that we tested as a bit dodgy, and that is a good thing. Anyway, right, so what we're going to do with this one, this is the one with the VFD that's gone to air, is I've just prized the various components out of the way, and what we're going to do is unsolder the VFD, which is these ones and these ones, and then what I want to do is see if there is a part number on this, and I can then Google to see if there are any of those panels still left in existence. As there is a possibility they may have a very similar pinout to other devices which exist, other sort of basic VFD panels like that, so be interesting to see. So let's get the iron fired up and get started. Right, there we go. Right, so let's wait for that to come up. and let's get started. So we've got to be a little bit careful because they have used every inch of available real estate on this board, to the point where this capacitor is mounted right at the very, 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 very edge of the board. So there has been no concessions to space. Well, I don't know if that's the wrong phrase, but there has been no waste of space anywhere on this whatsoever, which does make it very difficult if you're trying to conduct any repairs on this little board. So let's see what we have. So let's start as we mean to go on, so to speak. So let's do this one. Yeah, probably not warm enough yet. Just need to give that a little bit more time. So that one doesn't look like it's soldered. This one does. Yeah, that's warm enough now. Alright, let's just work these through. There we go. let's try and pry this off the board. It's going to be easier said than done, but we will give it a go. Okay, here we are. What we'll need to do is each of these little legs have been sort of pressed down, which serves to also sort of help hold the VFD in place as well. So it sort of acts like almost like a little lock-in mechanism. And some of them are up, some of them aren't. Some of them still seem to have solder on them as well, which doesn't surprise me because it's quite hard, in all honesty, to get in there with the soldering iron and the sucker to attempt to remove them. I've also just noticed that quartz crystal has just removed itself from the board, which is annoying, and it's taken its circuit trace with it, so just gives you an idea of the kind of quality we're working with here. But it is 40 years, well, over 40 years old, and in a part of the car where it would have been, you could argue actually, sort of subjected to a fair amount of heat, because it would have been right up on the roof. So it's basically one of those sort of overhead binnacle clocks, and it's going to have, in the summer, it's going to have blazing hot sunshine bearing down on it, so there is going to have been a huge number of heat cycles on this board, even when it wasn't powered on, and it was just, you know, sat in the car. So you can't really begrudge it for giving up on a couple of tracks, and again that one there is coming away, so we're going to have to do a little bit of remedial work on that. Looking at it, this one could attach further up the track, and this one could attach to, so this one could actually attach onto here, so there are other points on the track that it can link into, so it's not too bad, just sort of mildly annoying. The other option is to get some suitably sized board and actually redo the whole circuit, but I want to try and avoid that if possible, because we do have a circuit here. The other option is we could draw out all the traces and actually get a new board created. There are companies online that will produce a circuit board for you based on any sort of relevant designs that you send over, so this could be quite an interesting one to experiment with. But let's see how we get on getting the clock out. So some of the pins are coming, some of them might need a little extra persuasion. So what I'm trying to do is actually get a part number off of this little vacuum fluorescent display. So if I can get that, then it gives me a better idea of what I need to sort of be on the lookout for. So let's try this. So what I'm going to do is apply pressure like so, and just apply heat to these pins. See if I can force it apart somehow. The other option actually is, because this VFD has failed, I could cut the pins off. Now that does still leave me with the job of having to remove them, but without the VFD in the way, that might make things a little bit easier to do. I'm going to pursue this approach first to see if I can get it to go any further than it has, and if I get no further, then I will just cut the display out. So that's a little bit more heat applied to those, and they do seem to be lifting, in fairness. Those are out. That one's out. That one's out. That's out. Out. That one isn't, however. Let's apply pressure. Let's apply heat. There you go. There we go. So a little bit of pressure and a little bit of heat. So pressure. There we go. And this one. So there's that one. So just working my way back now on ones which may be slightly easier to win at. that's torn it. Damn it. Snap the circuit board slightly. We can repair that, but as it is just on some of the corner traces, but that is very annoying. Not the end of the world though. Okay, so that is almost it for the VFD. That one, and then that one. Perfect. And there you go, there is a part number right on the underside. So now we can certainly locate, hopefully, a suitable replacement. We can also probably repair this board as well. What I'm thinking is scrape away, so put in a link here to another point, link here to the relevant point, and a link here to here, and that will resolve that problem. It's not the end of the world if a circuit board cracks, especially when it's right on the corner. It is really just occupational hazard in many ways. So there we go. Let's see if I can get any more of these pins off, because I have unsoldered them elsewhere. Again, I'm not going to be too annoyed if I can't, because I can sort these out later. But we do have quite a bit of movement on them, except for this one. So we have movement on all of them, except just one there. So I'm just going to apply a bit of pressure to the board, heat up this single one here. There we go. Let's see if there are any others which may be holding on. Yes, there is, right at the very end, this one. So you can see all the others moving except this single one at the very end. So apply a bit of pressure, heat this one up. And there you go. So a little bit of persuasion and it comes apart quite nicely. Then all we have to do is repair the board, just clean up these traces, these pads a little bit. They're not in the best of shape, unfortunately. And there we are. So this is a Futaba 4BT028K. 4BT02 is, I think, the actual part number. So I have on my other desk a internet browser open, and let's see what we get if we Google 4BT 4-BT-02. So 4-BT-02. And well, Radio Museum has a result, and it is a VFD, 4 digits, 7 segment display with double pointer separator. The 4BT02, so it is referenced on the Radio Museum site, which is a good sign because it was used, means it's used in stuff other than car clocks, by the Futiba Corp. And let's see if there is any for sale. Let's just do a search on images. Nothing relevant on images. Let's do a search for Futiba or Futaba. Futaba, F-U-T-A-B-A. Ah, well, there is a Futaba 03Z. There is a Futaba MT07. We're looking for a Futaba 4BT02. Futaba 4BT02. And Futaba still exists as a company, amazingly. I'm just looking at the Futaba website at the moment. Astonishingly, they actually are still in existence. Futaba 4BT VFD clock. Futaba 4BT clock, digit height 9mm, dimensions 20 by 20mm by 48mm, which is exactly what that is. Out of stock, unfortunately, but the price would have been $2.98, amazingly. There's one here, which is a 4BT05, but I don't think that is the correct item, annoyingly. So the news is it seems to exist. There are references to the device actually existing. So yeah, there is a possibility we may be able to do something. In fact, I've actually just looked on AliExpress of all places. There is a Futaba dot matrix C51 display, which is basically a clock display. This one's a 4BT68ZY that I'm looking at. Dot matrix C51 electronic clock. Looks like it's a whole clock in its own right. Yes, interesting. I wonder if that can... Yeah, there's a possibility I may be able to do something with a very similar display and not have to worry about this circuitry that goes around it. There seems to be modern equivalents that will accept power to effectively be a clock, so to speak. So that could be quite an interesting avenue to go down. So other chips on this, you have this little transistor here. We have a little diode there, another resistor, some links, a few more resistors, a unknown manufacturer 41-6B or 41 vertical line 6B, 2 in a circle 836. It's got 4 legs on it, so I don't know what that is. That could be a timer chip of some description or a voltage regulator. Then we've got an 843 mm MM5387AA/N. Let's do a Google of that. So MM5387 AA/N. So that, oh yeah, that's a digital alarm clock DIP 40 pin. So that is actually a chip used in a lot of different things, mainly digital alarm clocks. So that's quite cool. And they are still available. Looking at one here for $9.36. So with $3 postage. So this whole chip here is still available. So you could theoretically restore one of these whole boards if you really wanted. So that's always quite fun. Now the clock crystal, that one's a little bit more difficult because it just says USA BD 1178. Obviously 1178 is the date that it was manufactured, but that is a 3932.16. I don't know if that's the frequency that it oscillates at, or let's do another quick Google on that. So that is 3932.160. Yes, that is its frequency. Resonator quartz 3932, 160 kilohertz, and that's €23. So you can get a whole crystal for €23. So that's actually shaping up to be a fairly easy little project to sort of go into. What is a nice little turn up is this has actually got the part number on it, and entire boards with this already mounted, all ready to be a clock, actually exist. So that is very nice. Anyways, that is that separated. And in the next video, we're going to probably have a look at seeing if we can get the other one working. So I need to get the proper pinouts ready for that. But yeah, there we go. Anyway, that concludes today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Take care. Thanks for watching.